Is Santa Claus real? That is the million-dollar question. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin, I am a geek, you're watching Kevin the Geek, and it is now day 2 of my 12 days of Christmas movie reviews. If you have missed the previous episode, then please make sure you go back and watch it. There is a playlist on my channel which has all of the videos and all the future ones as they get released as well. But today, we are doing something differently to what I said at the end of the last video. If you did get to the end of that last video, you'll know that I accidentally said the wrong movie. Day 3 is going to be White Christmas, so that movie review will be coming out tomorrow. As it is today, we are looking at The Miracle on 34th Street, and this is the original version from 1947. Not the remake from, I think it was 1994, if I remember correctly, which that is also a movie I haven't seen. Maybe I'll do that one in the future, maybe next year, and I can do a bit of a compare and contrast for the two. But today, we're looking at the original. So, if you are new, there are 10 different categories that we will be using to rank all of these, and at the end, that will determine, hopefully, what I consider as the best Christmas movie. So let's get started, looking at the first category. So we start off by talking about the story, and it's very much a quintessential Christmas movie, that it is all about Christmas. Compared to It's a Wonderful Life, which I looked at yesterday, this one features Christmas almost conclusively throughout. It starts on Thanksgiving, looking at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and then it's all the events that transpire up to and including Christmas Day. You have a gentleman who's walking down the street, and straight away, he is someone that, if he is not Santa, he is someone who really cares passionately, and you see that because he's walking by this store where this gentleman is putting up some Christmas decorations. He's tapping on the window, and he's basically saying, you're doing it wrong. You've got the reindeer in the wrong orders, and and all these different kind of things in a way that Santa would know and agree with. And then of course he's so determined to make sure that the Christmas joy is really spread. He goes to the lady who is literally running the parade to say, you've got a Santa there who is literally drunk. He is drunk. He's a disgrace. He should not be on the parade because all these children, they're coming out to expect to see Santa, and if they see a drunk Santa, it's going to kind of dash quite a lot of hopes. So, he's very caring throughout everything he does. And this just shows all the way through to the point that when he is hired as Santa, to be the Santa in the Macy's department store, he doesn't just go, oh, you want this present? I don't know if I can get that. However, here's some of the Macy's toys that are really selling well and everything. Because you have the guy, I can't remember his name, but he's the one who, when he hires them, he says, right, so these are all toys that were overstocked on, and if a child can't decide what they want, because some children are like that, we will just simply, suggest one of these items and then sell them that instead. But Kris Kringle, he is very much, no, I'm not going to do that. No, if a child wants a certain present, I'm going to tell the parents where they can get it. Even if it means another department store. And I think the first child, he's asking for like a fire truck, and Kris sends them to Gimbals, I think it was. And of course, everyone's losing their freaking mind because it's a commercial holiday, and they are there to sell toys to the non-believing parents to their believing children, you know. But it really turns it on its head, because all these, particularly the mothers, they're just going, this is a wonderful thing,
I don't get it. Why,
It certainly is.
You said it. Imagine a big outfit like Macy's putting the spirit of Christmas ahead of the commercial. It's wonderful. Well, I'll tell you, I never done much shopping here before, but I'll tell you one thing. From now on, I'm going to be a regular Macy customer. All right, dear.
Thank you, madam.
So, of course, all of the department heads, they're terrified of this, and they think, oh, crap, we're going to get fired. It's, we're doing a bad thing because we're losing business. But the head, Mr. Macy, he sees the benefit, and he leans into it. And you even see a scene where they've literally created this book of all these other department stores where they're going, your child wants this. No, actually, no, we don't have this. However, and you look at this book, you go, yes, such and such department store, they have it. You can see it's here. Oh, it's this price. Oh, it's a really, really nice price for that. I think you should go and get it. So, yeah, that all goes really well. But then, of course, you have the non-believers, particularly Mr. Shaw, who's the psychiatrist, who is, he's convinced that he's deluded and he's mad and insane and all these different kind of things, and he's constantly trying to get him fired. Like he doesn't want it there, and he's making all this stuff and saying that he's a danger to himself and to other people, and he's eventually going to hurt someone, and then you're going to get all bad publicity, and then what are you going to do? Which kind of does happen, but through his own making, which leads to the whole kind of ending of the movie where they have to go to trial to prove his sanity and prove that, no, he's not just a weird old man who wants to be nice to people, that he is actually Santa. And it really presents a nice kind of dynamic to the rest of the movie. The fact that you're going from this really heartfelt, just kind of fun-friendly thing to something quite more serious and deep meaning, and kind of really questions what it means to identify as someone, which I think is very prevalent in modern society. The fact that, you have a lot of people struggling with gender identity, for example. And yeah, that sends a really powerful message. And it really brings up the subject of mental ill health as well. And I didn't like a lot of the stuff that they did with it. But of course, this is set in the 40s. So I'm willing to give a little bit of leeway. Times have, very much changed. And for a lot of times, the right reasons. But the story overall, it was just a wonderful, wonderful, heartfelt story. It's definitely something that could be a movie that I start adding to my regular Christmas watching. I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to give the story 8 out of 10. I think the setting of this movie, if you're going to do something about commercialization of holidays and whether Christmas has kind of lost its spirit a little bit, I don't think you could have done much better than going to New York and particularly in these massive department stores where everything is really showing its true commercial value. And particularly these days, Christmas is so commercial these days, and I feel it's lost its way a lot of the last few years. But I think the setting really did help in that regard. So I'm going to give the setting for this movie 7 out of 10. Now, there wasn't a huge amount of music in this movie. You had a little bit of sort of instrumental orchestral scores at a couple of key moments, but for the most of it, it was very much a talking picture, which makes sense with it being a movie from the 40s. Had this movie been actually, obviously, it was remade in the 90s, so I would be interested to see how much more music is in the modern version compared to this one. But the music, when it was there, it was effective in what it did. It just wasn't there that much. So music is going to get 6 out of 10 for this movie. Now the Christmas message, like I said, this has really drilled in and tried to hone in on delivering just a wonderful Christmas message and the joyous nature that particularly children bring to Christmas. For me and my family, for a number of years, it was me, my brother and sister, who are of course all grown up, my mum, and sometimes my nan. So we never really got a true Christmas experience for the last maybe 8-9 years thereabouts. Now my sister's has a little one, so I've got a little nephew, and he's 2 this year. He's just turned 2. So this is the time that I feel I'm starting to get back that festive kind of feel. And children are such a huge part of that, and their belief in Santa is such a huge part of that. So the whole drilling into this has really made this a wonderful Christmas message, and like I said, trying to argue that really you can be whoever you want to be. You can identify as whoever you want to be as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. If it makes you happy, do it. And if you're able to make other people happy through that, even better. And it's a wonderful, wonderful message. I would have scored it a 10 out of 10. The mental ill health aspect of it, that is what just pulled it back from being a massive 10 out of 10 there. So, Christmas message is going to get 9 out of 10. As for the Christmas cheer, this one just had me smiling pretty much throughout the movie. I couldn't help but be put in a real Christmassy mood watching this movie. And, it was good. I don't think I felt this Christmassy watching a movie in quite a long time. It was just, amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Christmas cheer is going to get a solid 10 out of 10. Now, your main character, Kris Kringle, Santa Claus, whatever you'd like to refer to him as, he was just, he was wonderful. He was like, he's everyone's perfect ideal granddad. I never really had a granddad kind of growing up. If I had pictured a perfect granddad, he would have been that kind of one I would have wanted, just jolly, friendly, loving to everyone, no matter what you do or whatever you say. He was just a wonderful person. And even when he's going through these motions that, every time he does this, because he latches onto this persona so much and really identifies with the idea that he is Santa, the fact that he's always got to go and have these medical diagnoses to make sure he's sane and fit is, that must be a really depressing thing to have to go through. But he takes it in his stride and he's just going, yep, this is another thing to do, and I've done this one, the answer's this, and blah, blah, blah. So when you see him, like, after he's kind of hit the Mr. Shaw on the head, and he's basically going, he gets sent to Bellevue, and he gets so demoralised that he intentionally messes up those same exams, that he's done the exact same thing every time, which I want to point out is the most ridiculous thing, that every single so-called doctor is doing those exact same things. It's who was the first president, what's such and such times, whatever it was. Can you do a muscle coordination test where it's basically like going, it was like, again, I know it's set in the 40s, but really, is that what it was like? I mean, if you do know, please drop a comment down below. I'd love to know if that really was the way that they did these kind of mental ill health tests back in those days. But yeah, like I said, when he gets so depressed, that tugs on the heartstrings. It really, really does. I think the other moment that really showed what a absolutely wonderful person Chris is the scene with the little Dutch girl. It was clear her foster mother or adoptive mother, she said that this little girl had come from an orphanage in the Netherlands, and she didn't speak any English. And so, yes, she wanted to see Santa, but she didn't think that he would understand or really be able to talk to her because of the language barrier.
Oh, u bent Sinterklaas.
Ja, zeker.
Ik wist het wel. Ik was zeker dat u het zou begrijpen.
Natuurlijk. Zeg maar wat je zou willen hebben van Sinterklaas.
Niks. Ik heb van alles. Ik wil alleen maar bij deze lieve dame zijn.
Wil je wat voor mij zingen?
Sinterklaas kapoentje, geef het in mijn schoentje. Geef het in mijn laarsje. Dank u Sinterklaasje. Sinterklaas kapoentje, geef wat in mijn schoentje.
Yeah, there's a few little tweaks that could be made to the character, but overall, such a wonderful character. He really, really was, And so I'm going to give Kris Kringle, Santa Claus, 8 out of 10. Supporting characters. Again, similarly to It's a Wonderful Life, you've got a lot of supporting characters. Maybe not as many as that was a lot. That was just too many. This time you've got a fewer amount of them, which meant you are able to develop those characters a little bit more. Of course, you have the main little girl, Susan. You've got her mum. You've got Mr. Gale, the lawyer, who, those two had a really interesting dynamic. She's basically very much a non-believer and is constantly telling her daughter, don't daydream, don't fantasize about things. There's no such thing as fairy tales and legends, and I don't want her growing up and believing in those kind of things. Whereas Mr. Gale is very much, why shouldn't you encourage imagination and creative thinking and all these different kind of things? And that just gives that a really interesting dynamic. And I love when she does kind of, and very rightly say to him, it's my child, let me raise her as the best way that I see fit. As I always say, unless you're, potentially going to be endangering that child through, very warped beliefs, I think every parent should be entitled to make their own decisions and raise their children however they see fit, within reason, And she, I think she was going about that in a very positive and respectful way. She wasn't forcing her daughter, and she's just saying, look, this is a situation. I don't want you to maybe fall into the same traps that I did and get caught up in the idea of fairy tales and a Prince Charming and all these kind of things. So it was a really nice motherly-daughter relationship. But eventually Susan does get to believe by the end, which, just lovely. And then, of course, you've got all the different ones. You've got the other chap in the department store. I mean, there's quite a few of them that I just don't remember the names. Good, solid supporting characters throughout the movie. I'll give them 7 out of 10. Now, the Grinch of the piece is, of course, Mr. Shaw, really. I mean, you could argue that Susan's mother is, for a little bit of the movie, a bit of a Grinch, because she's trying to say, don't believe in Santa, don't believe in fairy tales and princesses and even things like Jack and the Beanstalk. But no, Mr. Shaw is the true villain, the Grinch, the Scrooge of the piece. And he's fake as well. He gets basically caught out by Chris, basically saying, you're not a licensed psychiatrist or psychologist or anything, but yet you're making diagnoses for this young lad, Alfred, that you're not qualified to make. Now, I would be in a similar position. I am what's considered a mental health first aider. I don't consider myself to be an expert on mental, ill health or positive mental health by any stretch of the imagination. But basically my training of that is similar to being a physical first aider. I can direct people to getting that support who are qualified to make diagnoses and things like that. And that, I feel, is kind of his position. It would be something along those physical lines. Like, as a physical first aider, I'm not, able to say that someone has got a broken leg or they've sprained their wrist or anything. That would be a doctor or nurse or someone like that to make that diagnosis. I can at least help treat those initial symptoms. And that's kind of the same thing with the mental health first aider, that training that I got. But yeah, this guy, he leans into it, and he's probably had a similar kind of level of training, but he takes it further and he thinks, I am deserving of making these qualifications. I'm knowledgeable enough, and he's very egotistical in that kind of way. So yeah, he's not a very nice character, and I feel like he gets his minimum just desserts when he gets such a bonk on the head, with Chris's umbrella. But yeah, there was definitely more that could have been done with him. He felt very one-leveled, So he's going to get an average score, and he's going to get 5 out of 10. Now, how can you have a Christmas movie without snow? Well, unfortunately, this movie pretty much did it. I didn't really see any snow in any of the exterior scenes. Although, to be fair, there wasn't a lot of exterior scenes. Most of the scenes that you saw were in the department store or in their apartment or things like that. So, yeah, snow's not going to get a great scoring in this one. Although, I will give it some credit. They did at least put some snow in the sort of general Santa's grotto kind of thing that they had in the store. So, for at least going that level of it, and I'm probably being a bit generous here, I'm going to give the snow 3 out of 10. And finally, Christmas decorations. Again, it's not Christmas unless you have a tree and decorations and all that kind of stuff. Surprisingly, for a department store, there wasn't as many Christmas decorations as I probably would have expected. So that surprised me. But there definitely were some, and it gave just enough of a Christmas feel in addition to everything else throughout the movie. So Christmas decorations are going to get 6 out of 10. Now, what does that do for the final scores? Well, I can now reveal. Miracle on 34th Street, the 1947 version. That is going to get a score of 69 out of 100, which gives it a B- rating. And that puts it so far at the top of the leaderboard. Was it a great movie? Yes, it was. I couldn't help but have a massive grin on my face throughout a lot of stuff. And I have to say, the highlight of the movie was when, in the court scene, when Mr. Gale, he puts onto the stand as a defence witness, he puts on the son, who's about 5, 6, 7 years old, he puts him on the stand. It's the son of the actual prosecuting lawyer.
Tell me, Tommy, why are you so sure there's a Santa Claus?
Because my daddy told me so. Didn't you, Daddy?
And you believe your daddy, don't you, Tommy? He's a very honest man.
Of course he is. My daddy wouldn't tell me anything that wasn't so. Would you, Daddy?
Oh my God, that scene, that interaction was just amazing. That got a really good laugh out of me. But yeah, this was a really good, solid movie. And it's one that if I see it on TV and I've got the time, I'm probably going to watch it again at Christmas. It just had a really good, heartwarming feel throughout the whole movie. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I probably thought I would. The biggest difference I think with this compared to It's a Wonderful Life is this has its Christmas cheer and message and everything spread out throughout the whole movie, whereas in It's a Wonderful Life it's really contained to the final 30 minutes of the piece. The first sort of hour and a half was just, could have been any time of the year, and that's what I think probably separated the two overall. But what are your thoughts? Please do drop a comment down below. Remember to like the video if you are new, and I would love, if you are a new viewer, to subscribe to the channel. Remember, we have got another 10 more days of Christmas movie reviews. I cannot wait. But for now, thank you so much for watching. My name is Kevin, I am a geek, and you have been watching Kevin the Geek. Merry Christmas, everybody.